Gerard, editor-in-chief of Filipino Soul Magazine, aka S.G.I.B magazine, that stands for Soldiers Got Intentions. Believe that, because everyone should be soldiering for something, a dream, a goal, an idea, a train of thought, something. S.G.I.B, hip-hop, urban, raw, the truth of Photographers magazine. Hip-hop, because hip-hop is the dominating force in music since 1999. I remember that year exclusively, because I was in my last year of prison when I used to read everything, and I read that hip-hop had just surpassed the most popular genre, and that was country and western. Urban, because it's another business manifested from the streets. Raw, because what you see is what you get. There's no editing, airbrushing, and all that kind of fancy and razzmatazz and all that stuff in the magazine. If you send in a picture to me, it's going to go just as it is, because we ain't got time for all that airbrushing and what have you. The truth, because the truth pays homage to Miss Vonney, Hilton, Sweeney, who was the publishers of The Godfather Soul, Mr. James Brown, and founder of the Pre-Grammy Party. The Pre-Grammy Party that was started over 20 years ago, and I was on the ground floor of that. There was a time when blacks weren't allowed to get their Grammys by accept their Grammys live, because they weren't allowed to do what the white artist was doing. And Earth, Wind and Fire at that time was the powerhouse, and they controlled everything. They were tearing up the charts, but they refused to accept their Grammys by doing a pre-recorded acceptance speech, which is what they had done up until then. And because of that, the Grammy had reevaluated the way that they were handing out Grammys. It thus became, and Michael Jackson kicked down the door, and as a result, the rest is history. Now, during this time, Clive Davis was the main one who had the Pre-Grammy Party. If you were a major artist in the industry, and when it came time for Grammys, Clive Davis's party was where you wanted to be. But often the time, a lot of black artists weren't allowed in there. Sure, they had a sprinkle of their few, because they, after all, they can't ignore the success the black artist was having in the industry. So Vonney Hilton Sweeney, who was, she worked for Hugh Hefner and Playboy as a public relationist. And if you were having a party somewhere in LA, and if Vonney Hilton Sweeney was not doing your guest list, chances are you had a small amount of A-listers. So Vonney was the main person to go whenever you wanted to draw big names into your event. So Vonney has sat down and thought and said, you know what? Blacks need to have their own pre-Grammy party. And that's what she did. She started the pre-Grammy party in Los Angeles, along with Carmelita Pittman, who was one of the founders, whose husband is Gerard Pittman, who was the first black limousine owner in Los Angeles. Dubois, you all know Dubois. She was the star on Good Times, and a host of others who also. Sutton, who was the first black female DJ who was accepted into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. And if you know anything about Sutton, Google her and you'll learn a lot more about her. So this is what kicked off the Pre-Grammy Party, and much to everyone's surprise, it turned out to be a huge success. It later morphed into the Godfather Soul Truth Award, where each year James Brown was given an award was given in the name of Mr. James Brown's name, called the Truth Awards. Now, a photographer's magazine, because that's all I am. I am just a photographer. I am a photographer who has outgrown his box. I remember when I was going to photography class, and I used to drive a taxi, work at Ford Motor Company, and go to school. And I was tired one day, and I sat up on my lodger, and I went to sleep. I finished my assignment, and my instructor came in, and I popped up, and he said, no, sleep, Gerard. You can always be a mediocre photographer. And that's all I ever claimed myself to be, is a mediocre photographer. Well, Vonney was, I was a personal photographer for many, many years, and also the Godfather Soul photographer. Vonney later published a magazine called The Truth. I'm going to show you this. This is The Truth magazine. This is the Godfather Soul, Mr. James Brown's magazine that was published each month with Vonney Hilton Sweeney being the editor. If you happen to get a copy of this, you'll see on the inside that I was a photographer. But if you have a copy laying around, look on the back, and you'll see I was the East Coast representative of the Truth. And here with Ashford and Simpson, Gerald Albright, Ozzie Davis, Queen Latifah, and Crystal Gale, James Fuller, who was a musician. So this, and also inside there were photographs that I contribute to the magazine. This is Vonney, Hilton, Sweeney giving an award to the OJs. This is Clyde Davis, you know him. Fifth Dimension, The Temptations, Ollie Woodson. You know, so this is where I was on the scene. But later, when I came out of LA, I ended up working with Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton. And you know, the Reverend Al Sharpton is considered the godfather, soul Mr. James Brown, his father. And as a result, because I was close with the godfather, I became his personal photographer. And I don't know how clearly you can see this, but this is where he was with Martin Luther King, Claretta King, his son, Mr. Sharpton, and his wife. This is with Michael Jackson and Johnny Cochran. I was the only photographer allowed in the office of that shoot. With Mary J. Blige. This is another one for that shoot. Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Al Sharpton, the godfather, soul Mr. James Brown, and Frank McRae. Al Sharpton and Mr. Brown. This is a canvas that I did from that shoot inside his inner office that later made the news. So I'm very proud of that shot as being one of those. This is a shot where the godfather soul met hip hop. It was the first time that he ever performed with hip hop. I later on became the editor-in-chief of the Godfather, Al Sharpton's magazine called No Justice, No Peace. And I published this for 2 years for the National Action Network in New York. And this is me donating a check for over $300 to the organization. The Men's Auxiliary was the highest revenue earner at the network. He later joined NSNBC, and at that time, I guess he was circling the wagons and wanted to make sure that all the information that was getting out was on point. And of course, you had Michael Harding, who was the head legal counsel for Mr. Sharpton. You know, and I guess he wanted to circle the wagons and make sure that all the information that was getting out about him was true. So he closed the newsletter down, which was fine with me. It ran its course. And I had received the Women's Auxiliary Man of Vision Award, which is one of the highest awards that you can get from the National Action Network. I'm very proud of that. Later on, I had asked Vonney, I said, Vonney, you know, Vonney was the master of networking. She knew how to network and put people together. You know, that's why I call myself the Prince of Wannabes, because whatever it is that you want to be in life, I want to help you achieve it. Whatever information I can give you to help you go to your next level, I want to be that step. And that's something that seems to be lost in today's world, because networking seems to become a hired gun. In order to help somebody, what you can do for me, and what I can do for you, what you're going to do for me. And that's not what networking is about. So I contacted Vonney. I said, Vonney, I want to do a magazine. She said, okay. She said, call this number. So I called the number. His name was Harry Wrangler. I called Harry Wrangler in New York and said, Harry, Vonney told me to give you a call. He said, Vonney told you to give me a call? I said, yes. He says, well, what do you want? I said, I want to start a magazine. And he said, say no more. And he gave me the name of Paul Miller. I can't remember his first name, Miller. And Miller turned out to be one of the high executives in the music industry. He gave me a website that had every artist in the world who was touring, who was available for interviews, everything. And it was like going to a grocery store. I just picked artists, I'll take a look at Donna Summers, I'll take a look at this, and it was fantastic. One day I was home watching the TV in one of those doo-wop shows, and I happened to watch the credits. And the first name that showed on the TV screen was produced by none other than Harry Wrangler. So that's what networking is all about. Now, Vonney, I later started my magazine, which was S.G.I.B magazine. Again, stand for Soldiers Got Intentions. Believe that. And I interviewed, when I got out the joint, I took relish in being the only photographer who was somewhere. I like being the only photographer in the room. You know, gave me prestige. And but digital came around. When digital came around, then the exclusive photographer was over because everybody had a phone. Everybody had a camera. You see artists on stage, taking pictures of himself. So that's what digital was all about. So I couldn't compete with digital. I could not, get any jobs as a photographer because digital had taken over. But what I decided to do, because of my rich history of being in the entertainment business and the contact I had for over 30 years, I had decided to publish my own magazine called S.G.I.B. 3 years ago, I came to the Philippines to put my West Coast issue together. I only planned to stay 30 days. But then after 30 days, I realized how wonderful the Philippines was, and I ended up staying. I ended up changing my magazine from S.G.I.B. magazine to Filipino Soul magazine, which under the same premise, it's under my my not-for-profit organization called Dreams and Nothing More Than Plans Awaiting Action. And yes, it has two sides like they did. This one has the Temptations, the OJs, Temptations, the Four Tops, Charlie Wilson. And then on the other side, it had Salvador Pena, who was President Duterte's head legal counsel, Floyd Mayweather. And on the West Coast side, it had the Feminists of Rock, and then also Polina. So I've ended up getting a lot of good interviews. Well, because of the coronavirus, my normal MO is to put out a magazine and go to Las Vegas and to go to New York to distribute a magazine because that's where I got sponsors from. And so because I'm not able to travel, I've been kind of dragging my feet. And one of the main reasons that I haven't been putting a lot of energy behind it was finding an assistant editor. And I am very blessed because the assistant editor is the one who transcribes the interviews. Before I go on, just let me just show you this from where I am now with the magazine. This is, I don't know how good you can see it, but this is the new Filipino magazine from that's coming out, and it has Ephraim Bata, who is one of the world's famous pool players, who I was lucky enough to get an interview with. He's on that side, and on this side, on the American side, I have none other than the legendary Taste of Honey. I have Hazel Payne. Hazel Payne is going to be on the American side. I'm very excited about having her. But getting back to the assistant editor, I want to take this time to introduce to you, and I'm so proud and so glad and so happy to have her. Crystal, come on up, Crystal. Yeah. This is Crystal, everyone. Say hello, Crystal.
Hello.
Crystal has already started putting the magazine together, doing transcribing. So tell everybody about yourself, Crystal.
Hi, I'm Crystal. I'm the new assistant editor of the Filipino Soul magazine. I'm currently in the Philippines, yes, because I'm a Filipino and I'm from BACKROUND. So,
okay, and if you want to know why she speaks such good English, tell them why you speak such good English. What kind of work did you do before?
Because I did call center.
She did call center, so if you ever call somewhere for tech support, and then the guy said, she's the one. I said to her, wait, your voice sounds familiar. I think I yelled at you.
Right.
No, but most of the time when you hear Filipinos speak good English, often the time it comes from the experience of being call center. So what other jobs have you had, Crystal?
Yes, aside from being a call center agent, before when I studying college, I started in college. I also a vendor of fish,
Okay, okay,
also selling spices as well.
okay.
So that's I would say that's not really the best, or it's not the good experience that I have. But since I graduated college, I tried to look for a better or a good job. So that's why I ended up being in Cebu and becoming a call center agent.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So, what advice would you give someone about following their dreams and their goals?
All right. So first of all, you need to be focused
Okay.
in everything that you are doing, especially that you nowadays it's COVID.
Yes, yes. How is your family with that? Everybody okay?
Yes, everybody's okay.
Okay.
Um,
But they're gonna be better now because you landed a high-paying job. No, okay.
yeah, focus is one thing that you need to do when it comes to reaching your goals. Second is dedication. You need to be dedicated in every job, everything that you do, especially the small ones and the big ones. And also the last one is you need to be hardworking. Hardworking is the key in reaching your goal.
So you already had a little taste of transcribing. Tell them, how do you feel about it? What do you think about it?
It's just like doing
I was
assignment.
surprised. I looked at her. She was typing. I said, "Oh, you can type."
It feels like I'm doing an assignment,
Okay.
a college assignment.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So with that, is there a Facebook where my people can reach you and talk to you, or maybe suggest an article for the magazine or something?
Sure. My personal Facebook account, that's Chris, that's Kris. Ramirez, that's Ramirez, that's zebra. And then that's 11@gmail.com. That's my personal Facebook account.
Okay, and a big shout out to Jennifer McDaniel, who was one of my assistant editors, whose husband or whose father just passed away, my partner Kenny, who I love dearly. So all my heart to you, Jennifer. Okay, so often time I ask people about what advice would they give. But no one asks me what advice would I give. So I'm going to tell you what advice I would give about following your dreams and your goals. I think it is important that every day when you wake up, before you put your feet on the floor, you should ask yourself, what are my plans for today? What do you plan to do for today? I don't care if your plan is to take out the garbage. I don't care if your plan is to help your mother with the dishes. I don't care if your plan is to help write that book. I don't care if your plan is to go out looking for a job. Plan something. Because it's so important that you have plans. Oftentimes we may not achieve our plans, but when we do, it's such a confidence or such an achievement for us to achieve our plans. And it creates discipline in our lives. Once you start accumulating the accomplishments of smaller ones, with the big ones, they won't be so hard. Okay, so with that, so remember, dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. Never disrespect the elderly and always pull someone up. And sometimes you may be the only one to see your vision. And the best revenge in life, Crystal, is to live good. We're living good today?
Yes, we're living
Yes,
good
we are.
today.
And we want to thank Catherine, my hot Catherine, who's on the camera. Catherine, thank you for the camera work. And you're lucky enough to have a woman like Ollie Woodson, former lead singer of The Temptations, once sung, treat her like a lady. And I'll always love you more. Let's throw them a kiss, Crystal. We'll talk to you later. Peace.